You're better at it.
Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7 was the creature. This is week 7 of the NFL, guys.
Blue Crew podcast. Let's go.
Let's skip to week 7 now. All right. We're now approaching about halfway into the NFL season. And honestly, I think everyone's fantasy teams are starting to shape up. As you know, there is a trade deadline. I'm not sure when it is, but we're about to hit that point. So everyone's teams are really starting to lock in now. Mm-hmm. And we're going to throw in a little power rankings this week.
Yep. So I'll start it off with some of the big dogs. And that's Jack, Grayson, and Mason. So Jack, obviously, he has the best running back duo in the league of Breece Hall and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's been just a monster so far.
He's going to finish his RB1 for sure.
Yeah. And he has really solid receivers in London, DK, and Jalen Reed. So, just a crazy stacked team.
Fantasy-wise, those guys have been crazy.
And then Grayson, obviously a bit of a lower week last week because he had a couple of guys out, but he has good players. Justin Jefferson, Nico, all those guys are big dogs.
Great fantasy performers every single week. Yeah. They're great.
And then last in the big dogs category is Mason.
Giving credit to Mason, man.
Yeah, you really have to give credit to Mason. Just overall great team. Has, in my opinion, not like a single big flaw you can really look at.
Oh, yeah.
So, unless you're talking about his RB2 spot in James Conner, but even then, he's a starting running back.
I still think so. Like, you combine James Cook and James Conner, I think that's probably, those are two safe options every week. I would live with those.
Exactly.
Because then when you have guys like A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Brock Bowers, those are the guys that they can make up for the performance of your running backs because those guys probably have the chance to have a huge, at least for A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel, they could have a chance to put up maybe 20-plus points.
And the offenses they're in, it's very possible.
And then Brock Bowers, too. I mean, come on. This guy's been putting up 10-plus points.
And with Devontae Adams gone, expect him to even shoot up more.
He'll have more targets for sure. And now, the guys on the edge, they're just trying to get into there. I would say they're edging.
They're going to either get in limbo or become big dogs in this next couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Depending on how they play.
And with that, I'm going to start off with Chandler. Chandler has 2 running backs that I think he's just looking for them to be healthy. Joe Mixon and Devon Achane.
Yeah.
Those are great running backs. They've had some huge fantasy games this year. Achane just needs to stay healthy, and that Dolphins offense needs to get going.
The whole Dolphins offense,
And Joe Mixon, we've doubted him a little bit, but he's still been great. He has been solid every single week with this Texans team.
Yeah, I've definitely put my doubts upon Joe Mixon earlier in the season, but I didn't say he couldn't perform well. I just said it's very unlikely. Oh, yeah. But he's proved me wrong a couple times. So.
And then Amari Cooper, Chandler was about to trade Amari Cooper before he realized.
Yes, he got traded. So that'll make Chandler even better, in my opinion, than Amari Cooper.
Now that he's on the
trade.
Bills, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 to Josh Allen. Yeah. We know what Josh Allen could work with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I don't think Amari Cooper is going to be any different. His value has definitely gone up for Chandler.
Oh, yeah. Then we got Anthony. So Anthony overall is he has a pretty good team. Bijan and Saquon are the best 2 running backs besides Jack's. In the first couple weeks, we were saying he has the best RB duo just because of Saquon's emergence in the Eagles offense. But he's kind of slowed down a bit. But overall,
he's had a couple bad weeks, but you'll live with that.
Yeah. But overall, I think Anthony's team is actually pretty good. And if anyone's going to become a big dog, it's Anthony.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Because now Cooper Kupp is returning.
Yep. And Cooper Kupp was injured.
I know Anthony is excited about that for sure.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp is definitely, when he's healthy, is that guy.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I'm going to top it off with Jay. I think Jay has had a shaky start to the season.
Really came out in these past 2 weeks.
I would agree.
Extremely. Like 170 in week 6. And then, last week he had a crazy amount too.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson has been good. Mm-hmm. He's had Wan'Dale Robinson in place for Malik Neighbors. And Wan'Dale Robinson has been an underrated fantasy performer. So if he gets Neighbors back and healthy, and then he also has Nick Chubb sitting on the bench.
Yeah. So look out for, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, look out for Jay to also be in that big dog category. Because if Nick Chubb comes out and just transforms that Browns offense because Deshaun Watson can't throw a fucking football, then it's going to be all Nick Chubb, and then obviously Malik Neighbors had the most targets before he got injured, so
Oh yeah,
you know
and then Sam
that's too
Laporta.
big.
Sam
Yeah,
Laporta has
Sam
to go.
Laporta. To be fair, Sam Laporta had one catch for a touchdown, so you'd like him to be more consistent throughout the whole game, but
That just goes to
he had a
show.
good game.
That just goes to show the talent on Jay's team and
Yeah.
the chances he has. And now we move on to the
Sleeper
fantasy
pick.
limbo.
Yeah, the limbo picks.
So these are guys just struggling for something. The way I put it for me, it's the inconsistent production for my team, man.
Yeah.
I love Josh Allen. He can go from 40 points to 10 points in a week. And then on top of that, I am struggling with running backs right now. I do love Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has actually been very good for me in fantasy, but outside of that, I have no other running backs. The only upside is my receivers with Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, and Stephon Diggs. But outside of that, it feels like I'm in limbo because it really seems like I'm struggling to win week to week. I just have these way too inconsistent performances.
Yeah, and kind of the same deal with Patrick that you have. Just I feel like very inconsistent, but especially with his receiving core. Like when you're looking at a receiving core to begin the season, you're like, oh, I got Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison. You're like, okay, that seems pretty good. But Chris Olave has just been super inconsistent, and then obviously
Olave's been terrible.
Yeah, Olave's been let's just put it. He's been pretty terrible. And then obviously he traded Marvin Harrison for
Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas and
Brian
Josh
Thomas could be
Jacobs.
good.
Yeah, and I think Brian Thomas, honestly, it was a good. I think he won that trade. I just like Marvin Harrison so much. I took Marvin Harrison. So, but I like Marvin Harrison's upside, so that's why I got him there. But yeah, I mean, I like Patrick's team. It's just in limbo with Kai and I.
And then for Saxton's team, I think Saxton's starting to look on the bright side now.
Yeah,
because
2 wins in a row is nice, but Kittle's been nice. He's been really dominant. I've been trying to see if I can move him for some more pieces in my team.
I wouldn't do that yet. He's your guy right now.
But being 3-3 without CMC and picking first overall, I think is a pretty good position to be in.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, CMC and Hawkinson are still sitting on your bench, so
yeah,
those guys could definitely swoop in and
and I have Hawkinson on my bench, so trading Kittle was.
Or you keep them both.
Yeah, or I keep them
Why
both.
not keep them both, man? Stick with the stars. You need the star power. Last but not least, you have nothing.
I have nothing.
I have
Left pocket
nothing.
dog shit. I have nothing.
Oh my goodness. And it's just an unfortunate story for you guys.
Yeah.
As Saxon has put for PJ, if Mark Andrews was just playing well.
Even just like an average tight end.
He had a good week, actually. He got his
Yeah, he did have a good
season.
week. Yeah, but he has Cole Kmet on his roster, and Cole Kmet still played better than him.
Yeah.
So, if you're PJ, you're kind of like,
where was this?
Well, yeah, in the first couple weeks, and then also it's like, now that everyone's seen Mark Andrews play like shit, he has no value, so they're not going to trade for him.
Exactly. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was supposed to be an excellent receiver. But
like the most consistent receiver of the year, but he's put up a couple of duds, but...
the Lions just share the ball so much.
Yeah,
there's a lot of mouths to feed on that team.
Yeah. But honestly, I would not be scared about Raw at all. Like, I'd keep him on my team for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
And then he also has Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson could come out.
He's putting up an MVP campaign right now.
And Booyah. Booyah is just, in my opinion, has kind of the worst team setup-wise, but also has a couple of injuries. So it's just not a ideal start for Brian.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Puka could save that team, but man.
Yeah. If Puka was still healthy and then you had Cup out, his team would look a lot better.
Yeah. But I mean, when you have 3 defenses on your team. I know he dropped some of the defenses, but
for a week he had 3 defenses.
Filling up your roster with 3 defenses probably isn't.
When you know who we replaced those defenses with? Cardinals receivers other than Marvin Harrison. Which I get Michael Wilson. I was actually thinking about picking him up, but then you also got Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I would have rather picked up a Packers receiver than a Cardinals receiver.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then we got Kyle, who's 0-6. But, honestly, Kyle, you could be looking up. I think wins are yet to come, but they will come.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at it, he has the most points against him, which is just so unfortunate.
Yeah,
There's always that one person that gets a little unlucky in the league.
that was
And
me
then,
last season.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately for Kyle, it's him.
Yep.
But we've been rambling a lot about the teams that have been struggling, looking for something. And so we come back with the blessing wheel.
The blessing wheel. So our contestants are everyone that's has 3 losses or more. So myself, Kai, Anthony, Patrick, PJ, Kyle, and Booyah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the fantasy wheel or the blessing wheel. So right here we got the blessing wheel. Like I said, everyone's name from just a second ago. So let's give it a spin.
And when we recap, the last time was the blessing wheel was me.
That
And
was true,
in
yes.
that week, I beat Brian by half a point. Kyle, there we go.
And he's playing me this week.
We love to see it, Kyle. Let's
Oh
see
my
if it's
god.
true. I'm just saying. I got the blessing wheel, and I beat Brian by less than a point. I beat Brian by less than a point.
And keep in mind, actually, that Brian's lost 2 games by pretty much less than a point.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian could very well be 3-3.
Don't matter though.
Don't matter. All that means is the
History is
wins
history.
and the losses.
Yep, history is history.
So Kyle gets hit with the blessing wheel, and I think he needed it the most
Oh yeah.
with being 0-6.
Now though, we move on to not the 7 deadliest sins, the 7 deadliest matchups of the week. I think honestly, when I was looking at the schedule, there could be a lot of great games this week. I know this past week 6, we had a lot of blowouts, a lot of the favorites winning the games. But now a lot
Yeah.
of these games, I could see a lot of toss-ups. And honestly, these are not in order. The ways these are
Yeah, these are
listed,
not in order.
these are not in order. But I want to start off with Ravens Buccaneers. This is the Monday Night Football game. Some of us are going to be at the Cardinals Chargers game on Monday night, so we might miss out on a good one because when I look at the Ravens versus Buccaneers,
Such a good game.
the Ravens started off 0-2, and now they've completely resurged. I mean,
Yep.
they've won 4 straight. Lamar Jackson is doing great every single game, and they seem to have Derrick Henry back into the king. He's not washed.
He's not washed. And that's exactly what the Ravens needed.
Exactly. They fed King Henry, and I'm glad they're doing it because he's proving why he's still one of the best running backs in the league. But this is 2 offenses on a huge hot streak. The Buccaneers just put up 51 points. The Ravens are on a hot streak. This is going to be a huge clash between NFC and AFC contenders.
Yeah. So one of my we'll just go in order, but so Eagles Giants, a little division rivalry.
I picked that one.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting, especially with Malik Neighbors coming back. If
Mm-hmm. He had a
the
full practice
Eagles
today.
lose this game,
It's not a good look for the Eagles.
not a good look, and look for Nick Sirianni to be a little more on the hot seat than he already is.
Yeah. I mean, everybody.
Like his butt is gonna be burning like that Arizona heat when you get in your car. Like it's gonna be bad. So
Yeah, everyone's been talking about it. You know, the fans are booing Sirianni.
yeah,
I mean, when you're clashing with their own fans, that is not a great look for a coach.
No.
Just too much outside noise going on for the Eagles
Yeah.
right now. This is a desperation win, I think, because I know the Eagles have dominated the Giants year to year. So this could be a game to maybe get them back on the right foot. But if they
Yeah.
lose this game, that is not a great look for the Eagles.
especially coming off a bye week.
Yes, this is a team
Yeah.
that Eagles they should be
Well, 2
easy
weeks ago
locks
they
for
came off a bye
the NFC East.
Yeah,
Because now you look at the Commanders, who probably could sneak
Yeah.
in to win the division.
yeah, they need this divisional game really bad because I mean, if you're looking at this and you're the Eagles, and I'm like, you never want to be 500 if you have the Commanders coming up, on your ass. So, just saying, watch out, Eagles. But game 3, Lions Vikings. Kai, what do you have for Lions Vikings?
This is probably the better division matchup, and
Yeah,
honestly,
this is my matchup.
the game that I'm considering probably to be game of the week right now. These are the 2 tops. I saw it that the NFC North, every single team is above 500 right now. in
Every
the
single
NFC
team
North.
can make the playoffs.
Exactly. That is so crazy. And the Lions and the Vikings are the best of the best in that division
Mhm.
because there really are no flaws to this team. These are teams with some of the best defenses and the best offenses. It's going to be so hard to choose who's going to win this team. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up in a blowout just for no reason because I
Yeah,
hate predicting. I hate predicting the NFL. It never
it
goes the way
never
you
goes
think.
how you think.
But when I look at this game, man, I mean, these are just two young, bright offenses. Justin Jefferson is healthy for the Vikings. I
Hmm.
would love to see a Lions-Vikings shootout, 30 plus points, please. That would be amazing. I would hope that this game is talked about more because
I
I'm
hope,
excited.
yeah, I hope we look at the towards the end of the season and go, this game right here is, potential for match of the year.
Hmm.
And I think that it has that kind of potential.
Who knows? Can't get
Yeah.
too hyped yet. That's just how the NFL is. You hype up
Yeah.
these games and then it ends up being dog shit. Ends up being like a 20-point blowout. So.
Yeah. So Jets Steelers, not as cool as some of these other matchups, but I think it's still a pretty good matchup. Obviously, the Jets just traded for Devontae, and so you really want that whole situation to go well if you're a Jets fan. But the Jets are just so cursed that it's something's bound to happen, in my opinion. But and then on the flip side, you got Steelers could be starting Russell Wilson this week.
Yeah, I don't know what that's up about.
Yeah, I think it's dumb, stupid, any other synonym for it. I'd say it's just so dumb that the Steelers are trying to get rid of Justin Fields, not get rid of him, but not start him when he's been playing. He's got to a 4-2 record.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's just no reason for them not to start him.
That kills a whole lot of momentum for the
Yeah,
team.
exactly. And I think the Steelers players like Justin Fields.
I agree. I would 100% agree. Justin Fields has 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Those are passing touchdowns, by the way. You might see 5 passing touchdowns and say that's nothing, but that's because Justin Fields is getting it done on the ground, too. He has so many rushing touchdowns also. And the 1 interception, that's what you love to see from a young guy like him.
I think he has like 10 touchdowns total.
Yeah, not turning over the ball, scoring touchdowns. It seems like he's becoming a more confident quarterback in the Steelers system, and now you're kind of breaking it up. So there could be some huge drama with that. As for the Jets, though, as we mentioned, I think you want Rodgers and Devontae Adams to come out firing.
Oh, yeah.
This cannot be a game where they slip up. Aaron Rodgers seems to be kind of controlling the Jets a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems like he's making all the moves.
A little puppeteer for the Jets.
Exactly. And if this move doesn't work out for Aaron Rodgers, and people are already...
Consider retirement.
Consider retirement. I think he's still going to play, but...
No, he will.
For Aaron Rodgers, though, I mean... People are already 50-50 on Aaron Rodgers. Either you love him or you hate him. He's undoubtedly one of the most talented quarterbacks. We'd love to see him do what he used to do on the Packers with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he had a little glimpse of that too with that Hail Mary, but...
Exactly. And then we get into the Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs versus Niners. So
if it looks anything like last year's Super Bowl, this could also be in contention for the best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like the Chiefs in this matchup, which pains me to say it, but they just always find a way to win, and I hate it so much.
They always win those close games.
And I think if the Chiefs do win, a lot of people will be looking at the 49ers like, oh my God, what is happening? Granted, their 2 losses so far have not been like the best losses ever, but I think it's granted, like you lose to the Chiefs, you shouldn't be like...
too upset.
Yeah, exactly. I think as long as they're within a touchdown, you can be happy as a 49er player.
For me, though, I see this as 2 teams that look very vulnerable right now. These were our Super Bowl teams, but the Chiefs, honestly, Mahomes, he's not even in that top 10 quarterback conversation right now. And when I say that, obviously, I know Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the league, but is he playing like that?
Yeah.
You look at the stats, you look at how the Chiefs has been. He is not the number 1 quarterback in the league. He can play like it, but as of right now, you can confidently say he hasn't played like that. So I think the Niners, this is a great opportunity to take
a game.
Take a game here.
Yeah.
Take a huge win.
Yeah.
As for the Niners, though, still, their defense has just not been the same as it has been in previous seasons.
Yeah.
That used to be one of their strong focal points of the team was that Niners defense. And they're just kind of missing out on that right now.
Yeah.
But Honestly, guys, what do you think? Taylor Swift or Anna Fry? All right, let me know what you guys think. Now we move on to another huge game.
Yeah,
It's like all the best
Week
contenders.
7 has some of the best matchups of the year.
Yeah,
Texans Packers. This is another one of those games where it's like I could see this being the game of the year. So Lions Vikings, Chiefs 49ers, Texans Packers are 3 games where it's like holy shit. And even Buccaneers and Ravens, like don't be surprised if, that one goes crazy
we
too,
just have
but
great quarterback play on both
and
sides for
yeah,
all these
for all
teams.
these teams. So
Jordan Love versus
CJ
CJ Stroud,
Stroud, yeah.
two of the youngest quarterbacks. To me, it's like the dark horse contender teams.
Of each, yeah.
You got the younger teams in the Texans and Packers. We saw them kind of making their Cinderella runs in the
Last
playoffs last
season.
year. The Packers almost could have made it to the NFC Championship had they not lost that heartbreaker against the Niners.
Yeah.
And then for the Houston Texans, they just unfortunately ran into the Baltimore Ravens in a tough
Yeah.
game. But these are two young teams,
That
I
is pretty
think,
tough.
looking to establish themselves back into being contenders.
Yeah. I mean, their record says they are.
5-1 and 4-2.
So, I mean, there's nothing to. Obviously, if you're the Packers, you don't want to lose this game. Go 4-3 or closer to 500. But I think there's no shame in losing to the Texans either. So,
Just look for another great
yeah,
offensive
another
battle,
great
hopefully.
game. I would hate to see any of these games kind of be flops and it'd be like 13-7 or
Oh,
some
yeah.
dumb shit
Oh,
like that.
no.
Like, give me 30 balls from each team, 35, 28, or something like that.
Now, if you want 13-7, travel to London this weekend
Yeah.
because we got the Patriots and Jaguars. These are two 1-5
Shit shows.
teams going against each other. I just had to throw it in there. I wanted to throw it in there just because, seeing the two worst teams battle it out. At least
It's
a
kind of
toilet
fun.
bowl. It's a
Yeah.
toilet bowl. Hopefully, it's fun. You got Drake May starting again. The Jaguars defense is
Yeah, and Drake May's got something to prove.
yeah.
So I like to see Drake May play, and he played pretty well last week. So
And this is going to be a much worse defense than the Jaguars. So
yeah, it's a big downgrade from Texans to Jaguars.
yeah,
So
it'll
I
be a
think
lot
Drake May
easier.
will show out again and have like a 2 touchdown performance,
And
throwing touchdowns.
Yeah,
I think that's solid for him.
and I think we got to stop putting the Jaguars in London. It seems like that's their new home, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every single time there's a game in London, you can just 99%.
Why don't we just move them there or some shit?
Yeah.
God damn.
Not a fan of Jacksonville right now. They're not even considered to be in the NFL.
Yeah, literally relegate them instantly. But now we got our fantasy wheel of the week. So this was last week. We had obviously our wheel we spin. We'll do that again in a second here. Kai had Trevor Lawrence, Jamal Williams, and Lad McConkey.
It looked pretty good at first. Trevor Lawrence versus Drake May. For
Yeah.
a quarterback matchup, that's going to be the quarterback matchup.
That's actually
in
of
London.
this
so-
game. That's funny.
22 points. I'm fine with that. But then Jamal Williams, where
7 rushing yards, and that's it.
the wheel really got me with that one.
Yeah.
With Jamal Williams. And then
Lad had a decent game too, but yeah, and then Drake May, I kind of said I was like,
Drake May was the difference. That's what's
yeah,
crazy.
Drake May was the difference. I was like, because the Houston defense was first in pressures, and I was like, okay, well you're throwing him into fire, but I mean he's better than their former quarterback, so
A lot more mobile.
yeah, a lot more. But I like Drake May. I think he played pretty well last week, 29. And then Saquon had an all right game, and you don't want 7 points from Saquon. But you take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jonathan Mingo, I was never happy about that anyway last
Yeah.
week, so that's fine.
We both got screwed by the little duds that would get thrown in there for whatchamacallit,
The wheel.
for the wheel. So now let's get into this week's wheel now.
Yep. Let's. So here is our setup, and we're gonna rattle through it. So this is Kai's spin.
There's some pretty bad ones on here, like Will Levis, Geno Smith. He is leading the league in yards. Brock Purdy versus Kansas City. Very risky to use a respin right here.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can't be mad with many of these quarterbacks. I'm going to stick with Brock Purdy, to be
Okay,
honest.
Brock Purdy. Ooh. Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. And we'll put in the scores and stuff in a minute, but let's see. Let's see what mine is. What's my quarterback? The Red Rifle versus
stick with
Washington. Andy Dalton.
I mean, Washington's
Oh.
defense is not great, but
He's projected 17. You have Brock Purdy versus Kansas City. I think I'll take the Red Rifle.
you think it'll keep it close there?
I think he'll keep it. Yeah. Red Rifle. I was gonna call him the Red Rocket, but then I realized that's something else. Okay, my turn for wide receivers.
Got Trey Tucker in there. Had a really great week and then kind of fell off.
So Tyreek
Allen
versus
Lazard.
Indiana.
This is probably one of the riskiest ones.
Just because we're like, what has he done since Tua's been injured? Not much.
It's a huge toss-up right now. He did have 12 points last week with Tyler
Yeah.
Huntley. Maybe
So-
they're building a little bit of chemistry, but
I'll take Tyreek.
projected 14. It's a very high projection.
Yeah.
I will admit that Indiana defense is not great. So
Yeah, that's true.
If Tyler Huntley can just find Tyreek for one big play, you could be in business. I don't
Here's
want Marvin
Kai's
Harrison. I
receiver.
don't want Allen Lazard. Oh
Rashad
my gosh,
Bateman
dude.
versus Tampa
Rashad
Bay.
Bateman.
Hey, he could have a touchdown for all we know. Use your respin.
I hate. I had Jamal Williams last time, and that was such a bad running back. I can't live with the bad running backs. The receivers can at least.
I just realized I put Tyreek Hill in receiver. That's fine. Or in running back.
It's all right. It's
You
all right.
taking Bateman?
I'm taking Rashad Bateman. I think I can live with that. I can live with that,
That's
to be
fair.
honest.
Okay, and then we just got running backs, and you're first.
We both have our respins left.
Yep.
We both have our respins left. You
So
have
let's get Kai going.
some of the bad ones, maybe Blake Corum, Damian
Yeah,
Pierce,
that's not-
Tank Bigsby, and
Devon A-Chain.
another Miami player for me. And this is what sucks. If I respin here, I do have the chance to land on Blake Corum or Damian Pierce.
Yeah. So you gonna take it?
I'm gonna have to stick with Devon. I'm gonna have to stick with him.
A-Train.
We'll have to see how this works out. I have Devon A-Chan in another league, but just need something out of this Miami offense.
And
Something
let's
good,
get-
please.
Let's get Saxy going. Still got my respin. So we're gonna respin.
Damian Pierce, yeah, you're gonna want to respin there. But this is what's tough about it. You could still get Blake Corum or Tank Bigsby.
Yep. Austin Eckler.
Oh, Austin Eckler instead.
It's a little bit of an upgrade, and he's playing Carolina.
So all of us, we all kind of have.
We have decent teams. Eckler.
There it is. So honestly, the stars are going to be looking for Devon A-Chain and Tyreek Hill. To be
I'm looking
honest.
at Kai's team, and I'm a little nervous because I'm not excited with Tyreek Hill all that.
Really,
Yeah.
I'm not excited with Devon A-Chain either. I think the Miami players could be probably the difference between us.
Yeah. I
As
agree.
you know, Saxon's.
I'm up
2-1.
2-1.
2-1. I'm 1-2. I need to get some wins in this fantasy wheel to end off the season. But that's our recap of Week 6. And as we approach it, maybe a huge Week 7. We will be at the Cardinals and Chargers game for Week 7. Hopefully, we'll maybe include a little something about that. But,
Yeah. We'll take a video or two.
Good luck to everybody.